Standing together, world leaders at the G7 summit call for unity to help Ukraine defeat Russia.
We have to stay together, because Putin has been counting on from the beginning. And somehow NATO would, and the G7 would splinter, but we haven't, and we're not going to.
In Ukraine, residents reel from the latest act of Russian aggression as Kyiv is struck by a barrage of missiles. The impact of the war on Ukraine's children is ever more apparent. Homes, schools and hospitals damaged or destroyed, water, power and food supplies affected, the separation of families. In the 4 months since Russia invaded, aid agencies say at least 2 children have been killed every day. And 2/3 of Ukraine's children have been displaced from their homes. Like the eastern part of Ukraine and the Donbas region, as our international correspondent Orla Gurin has seen in eastern Ukraine.
There is a sense of permanence to the war here now. No more talk of quick victories. Instead, a landscape of conflict and constant vigilance, and a vision of the future down the barrel of a gun. This is Timur, just 8 years old. We found him manning his own checkpoint with a group of friends, armed with toy guns, keeping watch from morning till evening, flagging down cars, on the lookout for Russian infiltrators. They ask for IDs and a password. This is their war effort. And Timur, what do you know about the war that's happening in Ukraine? I know we are killing them and they are killing us, he says. Are you scared because of the war? Very much. What's the most scary thing? That they might come here. With front lines not far away, the danger is all too real. Just ask Yura, who's 12. We know that Russia invaded our country, he tells me. Of course, our army is destroying the occupiers, so they can't reach all of us. Regulars can pass freely, but they try to stop everyone else. The war they see around them is not a game. And this is not playtime. Childhood here is another casualty of the invasion. Orla Gurin, BBC News, Eastern Ukraine.
And I'm wondering, this morning, those leaders are waking up in their secluded luxury castle, looking out on a very similar view. And the juxtaposition with the pictures that we keep seeing coming out of Ukraine day by day is so stark. You can't help wondering what is going through those leaders' minds, but they must surely be feeling the pressure.
Jenny, thank you.
Let's get that juxtaposition now, shall we? We can go live to Kyiv and speak to our correspondent Nick Beak, who's in Ukraine for us. And Nick, just over the weekend, you've seen the impact of the Russian attacks firsthand.
Morning, John. Yeah, we certainly have, and the authorities here say, look, this is a reminder of what Russia is capable of doing, that President Putin hits this capital city when he wants to. And this block of flats we went to yesterday, so we could see for ourselves the destruction. We know at least one man died there. This is the latest attack on the capital city. And it's interesting because, of course, this comes just at a time when the G7 leaders are meeting. This particular residential block, because these are civilians living here, this particular place was hit a few months ago when the head of the United Nations was visiting. So some people are wondering if this is Vladimir Putin sending his own message as those G7 leaders gather. Over the weekend, Severodonetsk in the east of this country, a place we've talked about a lot over the past few weeks, That has finally fallen to the Russians. The last Ukrainian soldiers have moved out. But here in the capital, in recent weeks, they thought that maybe things were turning a corner. Obviously, this is the capital city of a country at war, but some people were tending to carry on their lives. Even though the fire alarms and the air raid sirens were blaring, people weren't necessarily going down into the bunkers. I think that changed over the weekend. And, you know, spare a thought for some of the people who go to bed with their families. They're all there waiting for what comes. And if the last couple of nights have been anything to go by, it's a really worrying time. So the hope is this weekend in Kyiv itself was a one-off, and that in the coming days they'll be spared more missile strikes from Russia.
Certainly a real contrast with the tranquility of the mountains in Germany, isn't it? Nick, for now, thanks very much indeed.